We are live. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good
Morning.
morning. Thank you for hanging out with us. If you're watching live, please say hi and let us know that you're here. If you're watching on the replay, hashtag replay is much appreciated. I love you guys for hanging out with us so much. These live episodes, I stream in onto our YouTube podcast link. I stream it in onto my Facebook business page and I stream it into my Facebook group. But now Facebook or StreamYard or something is not allowing me to stream it into my group. So I'm right on my Facebook page, which I'm not going to lie to you, kind of freaks me out a little bit on my personal profile. So it's funny that this conversation is coming up right when we are, it's funny that this is happening right when we're opening the conversation up to the book, The Big Leap and Upper Limits and things like that, because I caught myself wanting to cancel today's live, to be very honest with you. And then because I discovered yesterday, totally by accident, I was in StreamYard doing something else. And then I was like, oh, why are all my, they're called destinations. Why are all my destinations gone? And then I realized a client had asked me, she's like, but I thought you could stream into groups. And I was like, well, you can. I guess they took it away. And then today I caught myself wanting to cancel our podcast episode. So I was like, oh my God, this is so funny.
Why did that happen?
Yeah, I don't know.
I wonder.
I don't know. So
but I felt like, and I started like not feeling good this morning. I started feeling a little nauseous, and I'm like, fuck, no, we already made this commitment. We can't not do this. And you guys, this is exactly why we chose this book. Yeah. This is called Hitting Upper Limits.
Yeah.
Right? We all have this set point where once we get there, fear kicks in. The logical part of your mind kicks in. It tells you all the reasons why you shouldn't do this, or you can't do it, or you're not good enough, and then you sabotage everything that you've been building unconsciously, not even realizing it until you do something like this and the awareness is brought forward. And this is what we continue to do over and over and over and over in our lives, right? And I felt that this was perfect. We thought this was perfect because how many clients are like, I don't understand why I keep doing this. I don't understand. Like I have all of this, but I want to get here and I just can't get there. And they keep sabotaging it over. When we say that we're in control of our reality, 100%. So this is diving just a little bit deeper to see where unconsciously we are creating shit and sabotaging it over and over and over. Like I said this morning, I was just like, I don't feel good. I got a headache. I was doing the same thing. Why? Because we're cinching ahead. We're moving forward.
That's what it is.
And what happens when that just busts open completely? Right?
Yeah.
And shit actually goes where we want it to go. Like, think about it. How much more responsibility that we got to hold space for.
Yeah. All around. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Setting in a fear unconsciously, but.
Yeah. And it's funny because yesterday or over the weekend, at some point over the last like 72, it's 11:11. At some point over the last like 72 hours, I caught myself. Well, it kind of came to light that I had been kind of sabotaging some progress over the last couple of weeks because I've been kind of hinting at this new offer container membership that I'm working on called the Lucky Girl Collective, right? And I'm really excited about it. And I had, everything like laid out to record and all. And I even started recording some of the content. And then the last couple of weeks, I've just found every reason under the sun to get my attention pulled to other things. And a lot of it will ultimately still be helpful, but it's funny because over the weekend I was like, okay, but what are you doing? Like, why are you sabotaging the progress you've made? Like, why did you put that on pause? Which is something that this is a pattern of mine. I've caught myself doing this a lot of times. I get something to 50, 75, 85, 90%. And then I get distracted with a better idea or something, or something in my personal life goes off. Teresa knows this very well about me. My two telltale signs that I'm upper limiting myself, I get sick or I pick a fight with my husband. Because basically what in the Big Leap, what Gay Hendricks is talking about is we are set. I think at some point in the book, he calls it like a feel-good thermostat. And we are all set, like Teresa said, we all have a set point where we allow life to be that good, but then anything more than that is like too much. We don't feel safe. It's like unknown. Our ego steps in and starts to say things like she was saying, like, you can't do that. You're not good enough. It's not going to work out. Think about all the extra responsibility you're going to have when you're more well known and people recognize you, when you go to the store, or when you finally finish that book and people know your name, or whatever, like, what are they going to think? And what kind of responsibility does that mean? When you have more money, what does that mean? That's more taxes. That's more this, that's more that. Now you need a bookkeeper and an accountant and this and that. And it's just like, we spiral on all of these what ifs instead of just recognizing that it's just part of the process and everything's okay, which is why I'm going to come back to something we talk about all the time. Regulating your nervous system is
that's all I was going to say.
So
and that's
necessary.
Where the dysregulated nervous system comes in right there. And then we're creating more of what we're thinking in that moment on repeat over and over and over. We're creating more fear. We're creating more doubt. It's just an endless, vicious cycle until you have this awareness.
Yeah.
But the good thing is, once you have awareness, you just delete it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, not to say it won't happen, right? Like Teresa and I read this book several years ago together, and we read it. I read it before that, and I'm pretty sure she read it before that too. Like, I love this book because it's like, if you have somewhere to go in life, if you read this book, you'll be giving your head a shake and going, oh my God, like, all of this makes sense. And going forward, like, basically the gist of the book, which we'll uncover as we go through the different chapters, the gist is any reason you have for not getting where you need to be in any, like I just said, the last 2 weeks, like, I found all these different reasons of why I couldn't work on my thing and why I needed to do these other things and why they took precedent or whatever, is an excuse. It's an excuse because he doesn't say it like this, but basically your nervous system is not regulated to be able to expand to all that you can be, right? And so the book really is a really great motivational teacher to push you to safely and wholesomely expand into all of what you're here to do. But the funny thing is, even with this knowledge, it doesn't stop it from happening. But what it does is you have a heightened awareness, and now and sometimes, like I said, I spent 2 weeks doing it. So it's not like an instantaneous thing. Sometimes it is. As soon as I get sick, I'm just like, oh my God, upper limit. What? Okay. So let's back up. What's going on right now that's going really well that I don't feel worthy of or good enough to complete? Because, and so I look back at what I was working on that week, that last couple of days before I got sick. Every time I have a really let's say this, I had one in particular, like, mind-blowing success after a launch. And I got so sick afterwards. I was sick for weeks afterwards.
I remember that.
Like, it was like, I couldn't talk. It was, and I called myself out. I remember I did a live and I was like, look, this is what hitting an upper limit looks like, and we have to calibrate ourselves to the success that we want. And that is why I am so happy that I discovered the magic of subliminal affirmations. One of the many reasons, because one of the things that I do now is I incorporate into all of them calibration to the success that we want and expansion that we want. And I mean, even that's a process too, right? Like, as I just said, I've been upper limiting myself now for 2 weeks.
Yeah. The crazy thing is too, when I was reading over the book, because obviously it's been what, at least a year, 2 years probably,
probably
since
2,
we did the book club before.
Yeah, at least. Yeah.
And as I was reading it, I was like, none of this matters. And the first thing that came into my head was subliminals.
Yeah.
None of this fucking matters, you guys. None of it. The only reason why we are doing these books is just so you have an awareness. Yeah. That's it. But even still, doing subliminals and subconscious reprogramming, according to, okay, let me rewind. Here's an advantage that everybody has because we've already done this work.
Right.
We know what affirmations to include.
Right.
Right. This in your subliminals. Upper limits don't exist in my reality. It's as simple as that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they fucking don't.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So as I was reading, I was like, oh, this is cool for us to teach everybody, for them to have this awareness, but none of this fucking matters. Like, it didn't hit me like it did last time. Like, oh my God, I have this, I have that. Blah, blah, blah. No, because we're dissolving all of it. one by one, literally.
Exactly.
And we're understanding, regulating our nervous system now. I don't know if they understand yet. Like, I don't know. How do you get them to see like how deep this is right now? Like, there is absolutely nothing that you cannot fucking have. We're giving you all of the tools, literally. I mean, I wish the ones that did the magic were in here. I mean, there were so many wins, so many transformations, like even, you know, people messaging me on the side.
Yeah.
I was in TikTok the other day and the girl is like telling all the other women how I changed their life completely since I came in. And then the magic that we did with them has like, their life is just not the same. And they're so grateful. And I mean, she just went on and on and on and on and on for at least 20 minutes. And I was like, fuck, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like just sharing this information and taking that leap of faith and not letting our upper limit stop us. Even today, I was like, episode 15, how, when, where?
Yeah. 15 weeks we've been consistent with this. Like
it's only taken us 15 years.
I mean, but yes, but that's, you know, it's, yeah, I know. When I was writing in and I was like, is it really? When I was titling the thing, I was like, is it really 15? We've been going at this 15 weeks. Like
15 weeks, dude. That like really gave me this like, like, you ain't got no fucking headache, girl. You ain't got no nausea this morning. Yeah. You better keep pushing.
Yeah.
15.
No, exactly. That's how I was too. I was like, no. We are doing it. We are committed to it. It's a weekly thing. It's, you know, it's literally only an hour out of your day. There's no way that you can try to pretend that you're too busy or there's too much this or too much that, or even if I did feel like shit, you know, like it's an hour. Like you can buckle up for an hour and, you know, and I just.
And I was ready early. I was like, and in my mind, okay, this is how an upper limit comes in too, right?
Yep.
In my mind, I was like, oh my gosh, I fucking did it. Like, this is it. Episode 15, we're going strong. We're putting ourselves out there. Other doors are opening. We're doing exactly what we said without hesitation. And then I was like, the only thing that has to happen now is I got to fucking show up on time. And I was like, this is perfect. Everything's working out today. Like literally everything aligned. And somehow is still 11:05. But I'm not going to lie. Like in my head was like, oh my gosh, this is working too perfect. Like, we're going to be known globally. We already are. I mean, I have people messaging me from London about coaching, about services. Like, what? So what would happen if I made it on time today?
You know, it gets
solidifying everything.
Yeah.
It's scary. It gets scary.
Yeah. Well, it is scary. And, you know, it's scary. And one of the reasons why Teresa and I want to do this podcast at all and do this particular book and share all of this, because some people are sitting there cringing and going like, why would you say that? You know what I mean? And it's like, because we want to show a very real and raw version of what this looks like, because there's so much fake, like, let me back up for 1 second. I'm sure by now everybody has seen this trend of like, oh, social media is just a highlight reel. Here's some real truths about me, blah, blah, blah. And they've made it a trend now to say like honest things. And I'm like, why does this have to be a trend? Why can't we just be like this all the time? And I'm not saying everybody should air their dirty laundry. And like, obviously there's things going on in, you know, my life, Teresa's life, that I'm not going to share publicly, like obviously, you know, but at the same time, like, as it pertains to what we do and where we're trying to go and where we're trying to help you go, it only serves everybody for us to just be open and honest and say what it actually is and show you what it looks like to hit an upper limit and how hard it is to stay consistent with things, or how easy, depending on where you're at on your journey, right? To stay consistent with things and show up for yourself, and the very real signs that you're about to upper limit, right? And by now, okay, so for example, before I even knew about upper limiting, I remember years ago, my husband, I mean, we've been together for almost 15 years now. So we've had plenty of shit go sideways and up and down and all of this, right? Like, as you can imagine, especially new parents, newlyweds, like I was fairly young when we got married. So like just all of it, right? And we're both kind of finding out who we are. And of course, coming into entrepreneurship gives you a whole new set of shit that you've got to deal with and work through and like all of that, right? But I remember at some point in our relationship, he said, like, why does this always happen? Like, we can only get along and have a good time for so long, and then something happens and it goes sideways. And so, of course, now, like in hindsight, you're like, oh my God, it's an upper limit. But because we have seen that pattern so many times, both of us kind of unspokenly almost are afraid it's going to happen again, right? Like, so every time we have a patch of things going really, really well, it's almost like, oh, well, now it's going too well. This is uncomfortable for me to be in a relationship where everything is going well and we're working as a team consistently. And, you know, I have a partner to lean on and I can ask for help without feeling any which way or whatever. And part of that is our own shit projected, right? Like, I will be the first to admit I have a hard time asking for help. I've really been working on that, especially recently, really asking for help. I've asked for help like several times in the last couple of weeks. And my husband and I were just actually having a conversation right before we hopped on. And I was like, but I am asking for help. He's like, no, I get it. Like, it's good. I'm so happy that you are. But still,
and that's
you know,
where you have to give yourself grace though too, right?
Well,
because
exactly.
that's also masculine and feminine energy. I mean, when it comes down to it, we're not supposed to be the ones that are providing for the family.
Right.
We're not.
No.
Do I mind? No. But do some imbalances come with that? Absolutely. Because then you're more in your masculine energy. And part of that, you have a fucking hard time asking anybody for help. It comes with that energy that you're in. Yeah. You know, there's so many moving parts to this, you know, but it's the awareness over and over and over and over again. Like, okay, shit, you know, I'm not asking for help. Why not? Well, because this is why. Because right now I'm the one providing and doing all this stuff. And this is what comes with this kind of energy. So how do I find a balance?
Yeah, it is very hard. Very hard. Okay, well, cancel clear delete. I don't want to say that into existence. I have found in the past how I have had a hard time balancing the masculine and the feminine. But also, you know, for example, when I grew up, my mom very much did all of the things, like all of the housework. She also worked full time, all of the stuff. So part of me is being pulled to this side, doing all of the motherly, wifely things, right? Taking care of my husband, taking care of my kid, taking care of the house, blah, blah, blah. But then over here, I'm being pulled to the masculine, doing all of the business things. And like I said, the masculine energy stuff. So I'm kind of being dual personality, right? Because I'm trying to do all of the things and I'm not outsourcing any of the things. Like, I'm not outsourcing any of my business things. I'm not outsourcing any of the household things. I'm not. And on top of that, I want to make this very clear. It's not that my husband doesn't want to help. It's that I don't ask for help. And it's that when he tries to help, I say, get out of here. You're doing it wrong, right? So then it doesn't, I end up taking it all on myself, right? So it's just like literally been recently, I've really been tapping into that awareness and letting myself be more feminine and letting the masculine be in the business things only and letting the feminine things like letting my husband support me because he wants to. Like, this is the other part of it is they want to be the masculine energy. They want us to have the feminine energy. Like, I'm not saying like chauvinistically, I'm just saying like that's how we're wired. And so by me saying, no, I have it all, don't do any of it, I am denying him his like biological wiring to take care of me and the family, which makes him not feel good. And then neither of us understand what's going on, why our relationship dynamics are no good. And it's like, because, well, you've taken on,
yes, this is happening collectively right now. This is why we took a little detour.
A little detour.
Yeah. This is happening with everyone right now because there are a lot more women who are in their masculine having to provide. And there's some that don't have a husband and don't have a choice. And then they're repelling all the men that come in.
Yes.
Period. Not realizing that they're holding that energy. Like we have to find a balance. I don't care what anybody says. Like, we're not equal. We're not supposed to be equal. We're supposed to be complementing each other. We're supposed to still be nurturers, you know. They need that. We need the protector provider. They need the nurturing energy.
Yes, exactly. And so what I'm finding, and I'm sure it's happening collectively too, is that as I'm more aware of that and really making a conscious effort to bring that balance and to be these complementary counterparts to each other, upper limits get hit too, right? Because it's like, oh, well, now I have my business running successfully and I'm showing up consistently on my podcast episode and my clients are getting amazing results. and my son's doing really well, and my relationship is really good, and I'm getting help, and I don't have to cook dinner every night. And again, I never had to cook dinner. That was an unconscious demand on myself. Like, I want to make that very clear. You know, and I have things being done for me. Like yesterday, this is like a perfect example. Yesterday night, my son got up. He has really bad allergies. I don't know if he maybe have bronchitis right now too or something. Anyway, he was up coughing. And my husband and I were both up trying to help him. And then my husband was with my son in the bathroom. Dominic was having a nice hot shower, and Derek was just keeping company. And I was laying in Dominic's bed, kind of waiting for them to come back. And then I'm sitting there going, well, this is dumb. We don't both need to be awake right now. Like, he's obviously got it under control, which is old me would have stayed up and taken over and told him to go back to bed or whatever. And I was like, well, no, I've got like important things I need to do tomorrow, so I'm going to go back to bed. And then, so they were up and they did their thing and whatever. And in the morning we got ready for school and everything was fine. And then later in the day, I was in here like hammering out recording things that I had been putting off for 2 weeks, hammered it all out in one day. This is how dumb it is. And then Derek comes home with lunch. He surprised me with lunch. And I thought that was so nice. And then later in the day, when it was time to go pick Dominic up from school, I sat in here. I had one more thing to record, and I sat in here, and I was kind of like humming and hawing for a second. And I was like, maybe I can just put this on pause. And then I was like, no, you know what? I really want to just I'm on such a streak. I want to just finish this last video. I'm going to go and ask for help. And I'm going to ask Derek to just go get him himself. And he was totally happy to do it. Like, that's the dumbest part of the whole thing, is we keep ourselves from asking for the help we want and relaxing into the feminine that we should be operating from. But they want to help. Like, they want to be needed. They want you. He was like, I'm so happy to do that. He's like, I almost left without you, knowing that you were in there, in my office, working away and getting stuff done. And so it's so funny that this is presenting itself right now, because then, I'm not going to lie to you, later in the evening, I was like, oh, this whole day has gone really well. I wonder what's going to happen. That's going to lead us astray. And then nothing happened. And then, so this morning, again, I'm thinking, and I'm trying really hard not to like speak it into existence and focus on it. But at the same time, because that's been the pattern. And this is where the awareness is, and the upper limits and speaking things into existence really comes into play, because that's been the pattern, and we're trying to break the pattern, but you're aware of the pattern, but you're trying not to give attention to the pattern because you don't want to give it more attention. So you create more of the pattern, but you also want to be aware so that you don't. It's like it's a very crazy situation.
Yeah. It's just like, you have the awareness. Like, for me, what I'm doing right now, I have an awareness, and then I immediately create an affirmation for it. And it's just added to my thoughts all day long. You have the awareness. There's no sense in sitting there and dwelling in it anymore.
No, definitely not.
We're paying it attention. We're giving it our energy. We're giving it life to continue to stay there. Again, you guys, we're only doing these things so that you have an awareness. I wouldn't even go into childhood wounding and all that stuff, because I don't want anybody to sit there. We don't have to sit there. It's just have an awareness of it. Feel the emotions, cry it out if you need to cry it out. Keep moving.
Yeah.
And the affirmations, that it should be opposite of what it is that you don't want. Your affirmation should be opposite of that to what you want to bring in.
Right.
And at first, a lot of times you don't even believe it when you start saying it, because it hasn't, you have no proof of that in your reality yet. But after you repeat it over and over and over and over and over and over, all of a sudden you start feeling it. You feel the shift. Your subconscious accepts it. Boom. You just shifted. You shifted your reality. It's literally that simple. We've been making it so hard. I know I said last episode too, like, everything is just working out for me, and I cannot say that enough times. Like, literally everything is working out for me.
Totally. But you know what else? I think that we've really come a long way in that we have the patience now to understand that it's not going to happen overnight, but to also know that just because it doesn't happen overnight doesn't mean it's not happening at all. I have a really bad habit of reading multiple books at once. So I'm also reading, I'm also listening to The Slight Edge, and I'm also reading a book by Arlene Dickinson. It's like so bad. Anyway, it's funny because what I have found, and I'm sure you found this too, Teresa, is that the topics or the essences of the books end up kind of being relatable anyway. So it's like, it's obviously like a message being highlighted right now. But anyway, So the slight edge talks about how basically you really need to lean in and trust the compound effect of how, okay, like you work out today, you work out tomorrow, you work out the next day, like you're not going to see a difference for weeks, but you have to keep going, showing up, keep doing your exercises, keep doing your stretches, keep lifting the weights, keep going to the gym, whatever it may be, keep going to the boot camp, knowing that eventually you're going to look in the mirror and notice a difference, but you're not going to see it right away. You have to just have faith that making the right food choices. Okay. Like maybe you've been eating way too much sugar and you feel like crap and you know that you shouldn't be eating the sugar, but you want to eat the sugar. You should be eating the greens instead. So you have a couple of salads and you don't feel any different. And you're just like, well, I don't see the difference, but you have to trust that over time, a salad a day is going to make a huge difference, right? You trade a donut for a salad or a shake or something, or a, smoothie or whatever, that's going to compound over time. So again, with the affirmations, the first multiple times you say these affirmations, nothing is different. Everything is exactly the same. You look around, you're like, okay, well, I still don't have enough money. My husband still, isn't talking to me. My kid is still not listening to me. My boss still doesn't like me. My, whatever it is, right? My dog still isn't potty trained or whatever it is, right? But you have to trust in the compound effect. And that's what the slight edge talks about is, and really that's what the big leap talks about too, is just continuously calling yourself out and recognizing that, yeah, the shifts don't happen right away. But if you continue to have an awareness of your upper limit and getting to know yourself on such a deep level, and you commit to that over time, it makes a huge difference. And yeah, so reading 10 pages today, 10 pages tomorrow, 10 pages the next day, it might take you 3 days to get through a chapter of a book, for example. But by the end of the year, you've read, I don't know if the math is right on this, 1,200 pages or something. You know what I mean? Like, and that's okay. So that's the equivalent of, I don't know, this book right here is what, 300 pages, 230. The big leap is about the same. Yeah. Okay. So 1,200 pages, that's, 3, 4, 5 books in a year. Some people don't read any books all year, right? And so some people argue you should read a book a month or whatever. Like, that's not my point. I'm trying to get at. I'm just saying the compound effect. You have to trust and have faith and surrender to the process that your efforts today and tomorrow and the next day are going to add up. Like I remember when I started meditating, at first, I thought I was doing it wrong. I was like, this doesn't feel like anything is happening. My mind is just racing. I feel like I'm, this is not helping me. I feel like this is making it worse. Like now I'm just highlighting all of these, things flowing around in my head. And then you meditate again the next day and the next day and the next day. And then all of a sudden, maybe a week in, 2 weeks in, you have a really great meditation session where you feel like, oh my God, I actually was able to turn the thoughts off, because you have to train yourself to be able to do it, right? Gratitude is the same, right? And identifying upper limits is the same too.
Yeah, it's crazy because as I was reading through this, it's like, it's everything that we've been talking about. Everything that we, the nervous system regulation, stopping the thoughts in the morning instead of scanning for all the things that are negative. It's crazy though, when you're reading the introduction, and I heard many times before doing the works, like there's people who just love to sit in misery. They just love to sit there and have it on repeat over and over and over. Mm-hmm. I don't think that they necessarily love it. They don't understand what's happening.
Yeah.
They don't understand that because you've been in that misery for so long, like your brain, your mind automatically goes to these things. Yeah. It's almost like a comforting type of
totally
emotion for you. It feels safe there, even though it's miserable. It feels safe there.
Well, it's it. You know what to expect.
Yes,
it's a comfort zone thing, like you were saying. Yeah,
right. So right now I'm like, oh my gosh, everything is just falling into place right now.
Yeah.
Right. I was reading over this again. It says, I have a limited tolerance for feeling good. When I hit my upper limit, I manufacture thoughts that make me feel bad. The problem is bigger than just my internal feelings, though. I seem to have a limited tolerance for my life going well in general. When I hit my upper limit, I do something that stops my positive forward trajectory. I get into a conflict with my ex-wife, get into a money bind, or do something else that brings me back down within the bounds of my limited tolerance. That's exactly what I was talking about. And it says, we have millions of nerve connections devoted to registering pain. And we have a huge expanse of territory in the center of our bodies dedicated to feeling fear. So this is why it's so important. We've been saying this, reiterating this the magic. This was the point of the magic, you guys, because we've made these connections. If you've read the introduction, you see that the book says this, right? We've made these connections to pain, to fear, to misery, to relationships not working out, to not having enough money. There's not enough money, period, in general, in the whole fucking world, is what we've been taught, right? From the time we're little, what do parents say? You want something, money doesn't grow on trees. Where's that shit going to come from?
Yeah.
We've made connections to all of these things. And then we're like, why is my life this way? Because everything starts showing up. And it's up to us to cut the connections. That was the point of gratitude every single morning. And you said it right now. We scan our reality. Why this can't work out. This is going to happen again eventually. You're used to that 2-week mark where you end up fighting with your partner. Yeah. You're already expecting it. You already have the connections to that. We're flipping it. Nope. We don't even argue. What are you talking about?
Well, that's it.
We have the example relationship for the whole entire world.
Yeah. Couples goals. Yeah. So that's funny because what it really comes down to is, everything we talk about. No, this is my reality. And in my reality, I choose that we get along constantly. I choose that the better it gets, the better it gets. Life gets to be easy. Of course, life gets to be easy. I remember one client specifically, we worked on this, like the whole 3 years we were working together, we just continued, no, it gets to be this easy. It gets to be easy. It gets to be fun. It gets to be easy. It gets to be enjoyable. Like, it doesn't have to be hard. That you don't need to fabricate, like he's talking about, you don't need to fabricate things to be stressed out about. Right. And when you talk to people, especially people, and this is why I say entrepreneurship brings up a lot of this stuff, is because especially when you're making the jump into entrepreneurship, or making the jump, maybe you already have a business, but you also are employed and you're making the jump to just do it full time or something. That's where a lot of this starts to happen. Or when you jump to the next level, like, I'm not saying this doesn't happen. And he says it even in the book, like there's millionaires that hit upper limits too. Like it's your own glass ceiling that you've put there, and the glass ceiling continues to move. Like it's not like it's just going to, when you have the awareness of the new patterns, and as you expand into new levels, you'll have new triggers, right? And new upper limits and new things that are unknown. You have to remind yourself, no, this is my reality. And I think now that Teresa and I have been doing this work as long as we have, and we know the magic of using subliminals and, identity work and surrendering to the process, and knowing that it does take time, the compound effect will catch up to you eventually. And the quickest, we've talked about this in another episode, the quickest way to get a quantum leap is to stop trying to manifest a quantum leap and just allow it to take as long as it needs to take, right? But the awareness that we have makes all the difference, because you continue to say, I'm repeating myself, but no, this is my reality. In my reality, our relationship is good. I deserve to have a relationship that's good all of the time. I deserve to have a husband who supports me. He deserves to have a wife that supports him. We are consistently on the same page. Our communication is great. Or in business, right? Like, no, it gets to be good. I have this calling for a reason. Like, consistently talking to yourself in a really loving and graceful way, recognizing that the feelings you have are valid to a degree, because we're humans, you know what I mean? Like, we're having human experiences here. So that's part of it. We agreed to have all these crazy things happen to us before we came here. But as you nurture that awareness, it gets easier and easier to nip it before it actually has a chance to take off and turn into a full-blown upper limit. Like this morning when we both caught ourselves wanting to, and we didn't talk about that beforehand, but we each simultaneously in our own little world caught ourselves considering calling today's episode off. It would have been easy too. We're at the end of one book, we're starting another one. We both got other things going on. It would have been very easy. We both would have been like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, sure. Like, yeah, but no, totally. We didn't even talk about it. I didn't even entertain the idea longer than a couple of seconds, because I was like, no, we're doing it. We're 15 episodes in. Yeah. We've committed to doing it. I'm proud that we've been doing it. I honestly, part of me was like, I can't even believe we've gone 15 weeks without anything like this happening. but no, we're going to keep doing it because I love it. We both love showing up. We both know that. And for me, I do put a bit of expectation on myself because I know that there's people who look forward to Tuesdays because of our podcast show.
Mm-hmm.
So I would feel bad to not show up for them. Right.
Yeah. You realize that even when you think nobody's watching, they're watching.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got messages from people that are like, oh my gosh, you inspire me so much. You know, the things that you're talking about. I was like, where'd you watch it at? They don't even show up on anything. It doesn't even show like they viewed it or anything. And they never talk to me.
Yeah. Or comment or anything. So you're just like, who is this person? Yeah.
Never like anything that I post, never nothing. So I was like really like, oh shit. You're watching it. You feel inspired. Damn.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. That feels good.
It's funny. When my family came to see me in Nicaragua, my uncle's wife came. And I had only met her in person one time, like 8 years earlier, right when we started dating, basically, or right when my son was born, actually. And huge fan. She's great. I love her so much. And so anyway, they come to Nicaragua. Oh, now people are saying, I'm watching. I love it. Thank you guys. And it's funny. She's like, this is so embarrassing and so lame, but I watch everything that you post. I was like, that's awesome. Like, I love that you've been involved in my life and I didn't even know, because she particularly never comments, never likes it, never says anything. So I don't know that she's watching. Right. Yeah. And I know that a lot of people are doing that. And then I thought about it. And I was like, our podcast episodes, some of them have a lot of views, some of them have not too many, but almost all of them have, at least 20 something views. I was like, okay, well, it must be the same 20 something people at least watching every week. And I was like, wow, 20 something people, like that's a classroom full of people. That's pretty cool.
No, it's a big deal. It is a big deal. It doesn't seem like it right now at the moment, but think about it. Each person does what we're doing. That's another 20 and another 20, and another 20 and another 20. The ripple effect is in full effect.
Yeah. Ooh, I got
I know.
Just now. That's amazing.
And you're fulfilling you're living your purpose. There's somebody out there right now that needs this right now. Somebody is definitely holding themselves back. They know that they're supposed to be seen by the fucking world and they have fear. This is why we're having this exact, when I get the down and I feel
listen to her. She knows what she's talking about.
Spirit is like, yeah. Yeah, somebody who's coming across this video is not taking the chance on themselves. You guys, your best bet is on yourself.
Always, right? Every single day. Yeah.
Because that's the only fucking thing that you can control is yourself. Mm-hmm. You can't control other people coming in and out of your life, abandoning you, hurting you, none of that. Well, we can a little bit because little secrets that we know now, but
that aside, yeah.
You get what I'm saying? If you're not showing up for yourself, fucking show up. If you're not feeling loved, give yourself the love. Like, it's all within you. You are your best bet. Just fucking do it. And I'm a doctor that I had worked for. She had opened her own business and stuff like that. Right. So, and she had been open for 6 months at this time. We had this conversation. And she was like, Teresa, you're meant to be seen by the world. You're not meant to be in this office. I know this. I know it's short term. And she's like, what's stopping you? I says, fear. Like, I'm not even going to bullshit. It's fear keeping me trapped here. Why? Because I know that if I come here and I show up every day, I'm going to have a check at the end of the, week or every 2 weeks. It's enough to pay my bills. It's enough to live. It's enough to do whatever the fuck I want. Yeah. Now, if I leave here and I go on my own, I don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
It doesn't feel safe at all. But am I miserable here? Nothing against you, but I told her like, yeah,
I hate it here.
Yeah, because I know this is not where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
Every chance I had to get into a conversation about life and energy and vibration and reality creation with patients, I did. Like, they already knew. They would come in like, hey, this is what's going on. Yeah. She's going to see me for my vagina in a little bit, but I'm going to talk to you first. Like, shit. So when I told her, like, I have fear, that's what's stopping me. She's like, you don't think I have fear every day? I was like, no. Why would you have fear? You're making the hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and everything's perfect for you. Yeah. She was like, wrong. I come here with fear every single day. When I started this business, she's like, I had fear. And she's like, this is what had me working for other people for so long, which is what we were doing too. She's like, it's because of that fear. It kept me trapped. She's like, it doesn't matter the amount of money that I had. And this is what we're talking about, an upper limit too, right? Here she is. She has millions already at this point. She's a specialist. She has everything to open this business. Even if it failed, she has backup, like,
Right.
And still she had fear.
Yeah.
And her point was, here I am. I have all of this. And I still show up with fear. Yeah. I'm here, but that was her purpose. This is her purpose. Her dream was to have her own practice, her own business, you know, and every day it just got better and better and better and better. Every day something else was thrown at her and she didn't fucking stop. And I mean, that's a lot, you know, the specialist that she is. People want to sue you all the time. So, but you know, and it was different when she was working under somebody else because they covered her, you know, insurance wise or whatever else. So a million things came in her head. It doesn't matter what career path you're taking. We're all going to hit these upper limits, and we must move forward with fear because it's a liar. It's a liar. And this is where where I get the pen and paper too. Like, okay, I have fear of X, Y, and Z. But what benefit am I getting out of this? Is my soul being fed? Yeah. My soul is being fed on a fucking insane level right now. And yeah, the headache, the nausea kicked in this morning. Why? Because this can be seen all around the world. Yeah. This is on the internet, you know, the
we're just on the internet.
For how long?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, until the end of time.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit. But how much stronger does it make you? Right?
Well, like, yes.
I'm all over the place with this because I get so excited, just things coming in. But like, I had a fear of being seen. I still do somewhat, a little bit, but not really. It's just part of that subconscious programming that's getting deleted. I don't really, but I do. But I thought about this like, okay, shit, this I did a brain dump exercise, right? This is what all of us have to do. Brain dump exercise, go back in. I was like, oh my gosh, I got bullied when I was like 6, 7 years old. Yeah. Bad. Because I was a little thick girl, let me tell you. Like, I've never been skinny. Like, the thickness has always been there. So it made me so self-conscious.
Yeah.
And plus, you know, my mom was never really in her power. I mean, to an extent, yeah, she, you know, stick up for yourself and shit like that. But I didn't have that really strong figure to be like, fuck them. Who gives a fuck? You know, don't let anybody stop you from this and that. That's something like I built within myself over time. But I was able to go back and see where this fear came from. Yeah. You know, and then I was like, oh shit, well, we'll just delete that because we don't give a fuck what people think no more. It doesn't matter. Yeah. You know, I talk to you on a personal level. Many things have come up to stop me. Oh yeah. Because of judgment. But I don't care. So whoever is watching this, who gives a fuck? Do not let anybody stop you from having your soul be on fire, because right now my soul is on fire. Like I see in the future, it's fucking amazing because we're changing lives right now on a smaller scale, but it's going to get huge. Like it's there, like the momentum, everything is building. So don't let anybody take your joy from you, your fire. Don't let them dim your light. Yeah. Who cares? Who cares? And what I see is like, they're going to eventually be learning from you.
Well, and you know what?
Spirit's showing me right now, like all the ones who had a problem or had something to say, they're going to come into their own awakening. And this is what this is about.
Yeah. Right. And you know what? I have over and over again, you have to remember that anybody, and this has been my actual experience too, anybody doing as much as you or more will never say anything negative to you at all. They will cheer you on. They will clap for you. They will share you. They will collaborate with you, whatever. It's the people doing less than you who are, for whatever reason, they're jealous. They're triggered by the fact that you're doing something they actually don't have the balls to do. So they use that as fuel to throw it at you and to make you feel bad, bring them down. But it's like, no, anybody who's going to say anything negative, I don't care about your opinion for multiple reasons, because I know I've triggered you in some way, which is partly what we're here to do, is trigger people into recognizing that they have more power than they do. Like our first episode, we said, we're just going to do it scared. Like, we don't even know what we're doing here. We're just going to get on here and talk for an hour every week.
And like Derek commented, he said, you know, he thinks that we're programmed to have the fear. We are. Yeah. Especially with our parents. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because that generation before us lived in fear, or everything was, it had to be very structured. The 9 to 5, like, what do you mean you're not going to college? What do you mean you're not going to go get a degree? What the fuck are you doing? Like, their mind was programmed that that's the only way that you can make money, period. Yeah. So yeah, we've been programmed, and we've talked about this before. Another awareness, right now, from the time that we were little, all of this fear. I had that fear. Oh my gosh, if I don't go get this degree, I'm never going to be successful, right? That's what they tell us over and over and over.
Oh yeah, totally.
So it's even harder when you have this programming, plus you have people around you who don't believe in you because their own fears, their own programming. Yeah. Everything is all hitting you at once.
Oh yeah. Literally.
Bottom line is, if you find what your fucking passion is, there's no way that it can't not work. It's been programmed in you by God, by your higher self. Your passion is what is going to give you the freedom. Your passion is what's going to fulfill your soul. If you don't know what the fuck that is, then you need to go back and figure it out. Yes. Because I could have got a degree. I was in the nursing program, I don't know how many times. Not because I wanted to be there. That's why it never worked. Right. But because it was like, you have to have this repetitive job. And that's the only thing that's going to make you money. And right. It's going to look good. Like, you got to make us look good to our friends and blah, 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 blah. I'm going to look good to the whole fucking world now. Not just your friends, honey.
Yeah. Well, that's you know it.
Like, I'm trying to change the world, not just your friends. And I'm not doing anything to impress anybody anymore. If it doesn't sit right with my soul, it doesn't make me feel good, I'm not fucking doing it. Period.
Yeah.
You know,
that's boundaries. Hashtag boundaries.
Exactly.
But I remember,
and fear is a liar. Just fucking do it.
Yeah, it is. I saw a post actually today. It's funny the timing of it, and it said something to the effect of like, if you have a calling, it's going to continue to call you until you answer. So, and that's why I don't have any kind of like medical degree or anything that gives me the right to say this, but it is my like intuitive knowing that the depression and anxiety that a lot of people feel is only because they are completely out of alignment with what they're supposed to be doing. And they have let the fear and the shoulds, rule their life. Like on my literal last day of work, my parents both called me, to congratulate me and say like, I'm so, I'm proud of you, whatever. My dad literally on the phone was like, "Man, you have a lot of balls. I could never do it." Like, he's very proud of me. And he's like, he is a big cheerleader, but he was just like straight up like,
we're here to break generational cycles.
Yes,
we're opening doors even for our parents, for our grandparents. It's never too late to follow your dreams. Okay. It doesn't matter.
No, I mean, think about all of those stories of people like, Oprah didn't become famous until she was like in her late 30s or 40s. Freaking Colonel Sanders, the KFC guy, didn't become known for anything until he was like in his 60s. I don't know. There's way too many examples that I can't even, but I remember there's like a list of people. They're like, remember that this person didn't make it until this age and this person didn't make it till this age. And like, there's actors that didn't end up getting any kind of big break until they were like 60, 70, 80 years old. Right. Yeah. Derek, my husband's watching. Thanks, babe.
Yeah, no, he's nailing it though. But he hasn't watched the other episodes. Derek, you're like hitting the nail on the head right now. And this is why we have been trying to enforce and give the tools about your neuronal pathways, right? They're going to pull us back into these old habits, into these old ways over and over and over. It's a lot for our system to handle, right? We have to make space and then be able to hold the space and then grow the space to get past these upper limits, which is where all of everything in the tools that we give in our coaching is for this exact thing, because you're going to keep getting pulled back into old ways. And it's a lot to take on. Bringing up the matrix, this absolutely 100% is the fucking matrix. So when you wake up and you realize that everything is not really what it is, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It can put you into shock. This is where you have to find your people, your soul tribe, because you're going to need them to help you grow, to keep you on track, to keep you in alignment, because people who are not awake and they're still tied into the matrix and they don't want to let it go, they're not going to guide you on the right path. They're going to keep bringing you back over and over and over.
Yeah. Which is why you need to be careful about who you share your goals and dreams with too, because as much as we want to speak our, goals and stuff into existence, you share it with the wrong person who's still plugged into the matrix, and they're going to tell you all the reasons why that doesn't make sense. And if you listen to them long enough, or if you're not far enough into what you're doing to know, like by now I'm far enough into what I'm doing that I know no matter what anybody says, okay, look, even if things are not working out at any certain point, or some launch doesn't go the way that I want it to, or whatever, I know that I'm going where I need to go. And this is exactly where I need to go. And no matter what happens, I fully have trust that this is what I need to be doing, right? Like Teresa and I were saying a couple episodes ago, it does not feel like work. I don't even like calling it work because it doesn't feel like that. Like yesterday when I was in my office all day recording things back to back to back, and today I'm editing it. I love it. And I'm watching myself back and I'm just like, oh, that was good. Like, I just because you, like Teresa's saying, you end up kind of channeling things too that need to be heard by whoever's going to end up seeing the thing. Right. And yeah, Derek says, when you break through, you can't go back. And that's a scary place at first because you feel alone. And that's exactly
what it is.
Yes.
Even today, I feel alone some days. So I'm like, fuck. Okay, well, this soul sister is not available. She's doing this. Because I know that you guys are the only ones that I can speak to. It does. It feels so alone when you look at everybody and you're just like, you guys, I found the magical key and the ingredients to take us to a magical place, but nobody's ready yet. And
nobody
you're just
wants
sitting there
it
by yourself, and
they look at
the
you like
same
you're crazy.
Conversations don't fulfill you anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very hard. It's very hard. If anybody's going through that, like, we're here. We're here. Reach out to us and literally start speaking it into existence. My soul family, my soul tribe is finding me now. They're connecting with me through social media, through, you walk to the freaking store, you find somebody who's in alignment with you. I do that all the time. I'm in I went to the 99-cent store. Some random guy pops up, starts talking about energy, vibration, and crystals, and he's like, oh, yeah. It's the alignment. And plus, because I'm calling in my soul family, I do this on a daily basis. Right. I want more like-minded people, or who have surpassed me, to help me keep growing and expanding and just stay in alignment where I'm supposed to be.
Right. And Derek said here, he's like, I don't think everybody's meant to be there. And he's right. Like in this lifetime, not everybody will. But what Teresa and I continue to put out is those who are ready, or who will be ready at some point, or who need what we're saying, will find us. Like, that's just what it is. And it's funny because Derek and I actually had a conversation like this a couple of years ago, related more to entrepreneurship, because I was going off, and everybody has the ability. Well, okay, let me back up. That's not what I meant to say. Everybody has a skill or a knowledge base or an experience that they can monetize, like that will help somebody. Right. And he was like, but not everybody has what it takes to be an entrepreneur though. And I was like, oh, you're right. Like, not everybody I do believe everybody is able to help somebody else, but not entrepreneurship is hard. It is hard, and it is not for everybody, for sure. And so that was really eye-opening for me though, because I see so much potential in people and what they've been through and how they can turn it into a way, not even just to monetize it, but a way that they can leverage their own experience to help other people. Like Teresa said, she calls it turning your passion into your pain into your purpose. And yes, I agree that everybody has that ability. But some people on a small scale are just meant to help, like their neighbor who turns out to be going through the same thing, or some random person in a Facebook group. Now, thanks to the internet, we can communicate with people all around that we will never see in real life. Right. But not everybody is meant to come into this knowing in this lifetime, but that's also part of their process, and not everybody's going to see it this way, but I think people who are going to tune into this episode, and us in general, are going to have a similar thought process, is that we're we're reincarnating into different life. If you've seen the movie Soul, it's like that. Like we reincarnate into new human forms and new roles and until your soul gets to the point where it has learned all the lessons and collected all of the experiences. And what happens after that, I don't really know. Maybe we become angels or something. I have no idea. You know, maybe we become guardian angels or archangels or something. I don't know. But in this lifetime, the people who are drawn to us are the one, like if you're here for a reason. If you're listening to what we're saying, you're hearing it for a reason. So just
we don't even need to know you. We don't even need to hear anything. No. Like it's a knowing. It's 100% fact.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, that's what it is. And we know that for a couple of reasons. A, it's been our experience. And B, we call it in. Like, and I have come to and I think we've actually talked about this in a past episode, and Teresa and I both recognize that this to be true. We both know by now that people do not just they don't just find us. They don't just stumble across us on Facebook. You are guided to us when you're ready for what we have to say, or something we're going to say in a future episode, or something we've said in a past episode. Maybe you're watching this 3 years after recording. Like, I really don't know. But that's the magic of the way that technology supports us and this whole process of the collective awakening of the people who are ready in this lifetime. Or maybe you're already, not to sound morbid, like maybe you're watching this when we've already passed away. Like, who knows? You know what I mean? Like maybe I'm your cat now or something. I don't know. Like, who knows? But that's crazy to think about that.
Yeah. And just the point of that, not everybody is chosen for this journey. Not everybody is here to not everybody's going to awaken. They're going to just live in the matrix to the day they pass away. And this is why it's very hard on us who do awaken, especially if it's people that you love and you so badly want to bring them along. You can't, you can, it doesn't matter. It's just so, how do I say, this is where we're learning to really just accept things for what they are. You have to learn to detach, but still stay in a place of love. You know what I'm saying? It's so much on this journey, you guys. Like, you're going to experience up and down. Your emotions are going to be everywhere. You're going to feel alone, like Derek said. Then you're going to feel like you found your family, and then guess what? Sometimes you elevate past them, and then you let them go too. And you just continuous journey. Self. You have to love yourself so much, and you have to be okay alone with yourself. Yeah. Not dependent on anybody for anything, for your emotional security or none of that stuff, because it's this. It's like you hit one level, you're going to go to another one. You experience different stuff, and you have to be able to keep yourself sane.
Yeah. Well, and also,
and in control.
I heard somebody else say too, and I think maybe I even said this in a past episode, but they said, the problem becomes when you realize that everybody you meet, whether it's your spouse, your kid, your parents, your friends, the cashier at the grocery store, everybody has their own perception of you based on their experience with you, but also their own experience with themselves and through their life. So everybody is seeing you through their own filters too. So the only person who truly knows you 100,000% is you. And that is only the case if you actually do the work to get to know yourself. So if you don't know yourself, and you can't rely on anybody else around you for knowing yourself either, that's not very good. That's extra lonely.
Yeah. You see Rachel's comment.
Yeah. She says, I'm in my last year of a degree that I chose because I want to follow my true passion, which is awesome. But seeing that I'm about to graduate and thinking of leaving the job I'm currently doing to finally follow my dream grips me with fear at times. Of course it does. Yeah. Of course it does. But you know what? This is okay. And I hope you have a copy of The Big Leap. If you don't, let me know. I have a PDF copy I can send you, because that's your ego trying to keep you comfortable and safe, because your ego, remember, we've talked about this before too. The ego is very dramatic, right? The ego is operating from very primal needs and beliefs, which is that if we don't fit in, if we're not accepted, if we do something different, we could die. That's basically how dramatic the ego is. So that's why it's so scary because what's happening is your ego is doing everything it can to say, no, you better stay where you are because it's comfortable. And even though it's not where you want to be, you know what to expect. And it's, there's no unknown. That's the part that's scary, especially with entrepreneurship or even new things in general, because everything you do when it's new, everything from that point is new also. And new is scary because new is unknown. So you have to be okay with the unknown. And this is why leaning on the universe and knowing that we are divinely guided and that you can't mess it up as long as you continue to follow your intuition and listen to yourself and follow your heart and what feels best, that'll never lead you astray. Like, you have the calling for a reason. You wanted to follow your purpose for a reason, right? And it's totally normal to be scared, but it also is safe to jump off the ledge and know that you'll be caught.
Well, these avatars that we're in are programmed a certain way,
Right?
The logical part of our mind, which we can say is the ego, is literally built to keep us safe.
Right.
Period. So when we say fear is a liar, it really is, because it's just that logical part of your mind or your brain that wants to keep you safe because it's wired that way. So why do we do this work? So that we can rewire the programming of this avatar. Yeah. So it takes deliberate, action and awareness, which is what we keep talking about. We have to override this system of this avatar that we're in, because it will constantly take us back, right? An example of this is you get an idea for something, and if you do not act on this within 5-10 minutes, I think it's 10 minutes max, that part of your avatar, the logical part of your brain, kicks in, and it gives you all of the reasons why you're not good enough, why it will never work out. Because it's like, oh my gosh, if she does this and she fails, you're going to have this tremendous trauma and heartbreak that you're never going to be able to recover from. I got to keep you safe. So let me feed her all the bullshit fear to fucking keep her here so that she doesn't experience all of this pain and this trauma and something that may kill the system, right? We're like computers. It doesn't want a virus. It doesn't want to be killed. So it just kicks in and feeds us a bunch of lies. Yeah. But this is, once we have this awareness that this is happening, which this book, you guys, we haven't even gone into chapter 1. We're literally just going over the introduction of the book right now. So there's still time. Get the book, start reading. The whole purpose of this is to bring awareness of these systems, of this avatar, how it works, so that we can rewire us to be in alignment with our true path. Yeah. This is why.
Yeah. And this is why nervous system.
We're able to just override that programming really quick.
Exactly.
It doesn't keep us from following our dreams.
Right. Because it's not going to, like she's saying, it's not going to not happen. It's just you can react differently. And this is why nervous system regulation is important, so that you can breathe with it. And actually, I think I might be jumping ahead. I think he might say this in chapter 1, but it's worth saying here just because it fits in with the conversation about fear. Is he says, and I've heard this before too, the emotional, physiological response to fear and excitement are actually the same thing. And I'm pretty sure it's in chapter 1, but he says, the only difference is when you are afraid, you tend to hold your breath and stop breathing. When you're excited, you breathe deeply. And he's like, so if you just breathe into the fear, like acknowledge that it's there, breathe into it, you can change the fear to exhilaration eventually. Fear to excitement to exhilaration. And then, because it's the same response, it's just the way that you react to it. Because a lot of times when we feel fear, Rachel can attest to this right now, when you feel fear, you don't want to feel fear. So you're resisting feeling the fear, but what you actually have to do is let it be there, acknowledge that it's there, say, okay, yeah, you know what? It is a little bit scary, but I know that I'm going to be okay. Right?
Not today, bitch. Not today.
Yeah, not today.
Come in and say goodbye. That's it. You ain't staying here.
That's what it is. So that's a good place to leave it, unless you have anything else you want to add, Teresa.
I just on chapter 1, I'm just reading the first little in bold here. Okay, and we can leave on with this. It says, ask yourself this, am I willing to increase the amount of time every day that I feel good inside? What have we been talking about? This whole manifestation, reality creation. What is your job to do? Find things all day long from moment to moment that make you feel good. It's going to override everything else. It will just disappear. It will melt away. Yep. And this is how this book is starting.
It's so good.
Leave you guys with that right there.
Yeah. So you need to find the book. I looked for it in my library to see if I could find the ebook. At some point, I don't know if they've changed the title since this, or it's a new title, but I found it under Your Big Leap Year, which I've never heard it referred to as that. I thought it was called The Big Leap. So again, I don't know.
Do we experience the Mandela effect on this?
I don't know, because I know that he has another book called The Genius Zone that was originally called something else and he retitled it. So look for The Big Leap or Your Big Leap Year. It's the same book, but if you want just like I said, I have a free PDF copy in my Google Drive. I can send you the link to it. You can download it and read it. And so you've got no excuse to not read along. And chances are, if you're here watching this, you need to be following along because it's an amazing book. I come back to it again and again and again because it literally changed my life the first time. And every time I read it since then, it continues to change my life. If I can encourage you to buy a hard copy, you're going to want to underline and highlight and make notes in this book, little stickies and stuff. So at some point, make it your goal to have the physical copy, maybe not right this second. If it's not, I understand if it's not feasible or it won't get here in time or whatever, but I have the PDF copy. You've got no excuse. So we'll talk about at least chapter 1 next week. It's such a good book. I'm just so excited. So thank you guys for hanging out with us. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for engaging and sharing your comments and your thoughts. That's awesome. We would love more of that too, because we love getting you involved in the conversation. If you're catching the replay again, we would appreciate it. #replay just to let us know so that we can thank you and send you love for hanging out with us. We appreciate it.
Yes.
And we'll see you next Tuesday. Love you guys so much. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye, guys.
Bye.